Hello, welcome back to Assetto Corsa Competizione, the official Blancpain GT Series game. Today I am going to be showing you guys my way of setting up a race car. Now, I haven't set up a race car in a very long time. As you know, I just do car reviews. I haven't actually had a chance to set up a race car for racing in a very long time. But I'm going to be showing you, and let's hope I remember, how to set up a race car to extract some lap time out of it. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting with just a standard preset setup. So the current setup is something like this, and we are going to be moving very slowly towards a better setup. So you can see right now the traction control ABS is quite high. The first thing I'm going to do is I am going to drop those both down to 1. That's the first thing I'm going to do. The second thing I'm going to do is drop some of this fuel, because we're not worried about the fuel today. And the main part of what we're going to be looking at is some of the aero. We're going to be looking at the dampers. We'll be looking at the mechanical grip. And we're not going to touch the electronics. And of course, we're going to be looking at the tires. Now, this is probably going to be a 2-video process. So we're going to start with this first video. And we're going to move on from there. So I'm actually going to save up one of these. And we're just going to, in fact, we'll save it up at the end of this video. So let's see. Make sure you stay tuned for a bit of very interesting driving. We'll start with getting a baseline setup. So to the intro.
Give it all you can.
Okay, so here we are, ready to go. So let's give this a good feel. Wow, that feels quite heavy. That's interesting. That could give you a good workout, that could. Okay, let's stop that. Okay. So let's get a good feel for this car in its baseline setup, and we'll see what's missing. So whether this car feels understeery, oversteery, or what. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. It's a little bit oversteery on exit, at least out of that first corner, but that is camber. The camber of the corner would be causing that. It's not brilliant under braking, it doesn't seem. And it's definitely understeery through the middle of a corner. So I can see that from this already. That it's not great. And we'll do a lap time, and we'll see what kind of base lap time you can get. Of course, I haven't had much time in Assetto Corsa Competizione for, well, at all. I've had maybe just under an hour in total, so I think actually about 50 minutes is all I've had in the title. But let's get a feel for this. Definitely feels understeery mid-corner. It bites a little bit on exit, but mid-corner I feel like that's understeery. And I feel like maybe it just feels just a bit too stable. That's the other thing. It does feel a little bit too stable. So there is something that we can work on there. Yeah, definitely understeering mid. Right. Apex definitely got understeer. So that's something that we're going to have to work on. That means you have to be a lot slower into a corner to really get the car turning. Now, of course, part of this could be my own driving, which is, that makes sense. But I don't think all of it will be my own driving. Yeah, see, I want to be able to hug that inside. That's what I really want to be able to do. If I can hug that inside all the way through, that would be much nicer. Alright, let's get a lap time out of this. So brake around the 100-meter board. See how quickly it slows down. It does not. I feel like that can be improved. I feel like that should have slowed down already. Yeah, it definitely feels like it's set up. At least this setup is a lot more towards understeer. You can just see how much I'm struggling with understeer through every corner. Now, yes, I am going to the corners a little bit fast, but you would think that I'd be able to go into them at that kind of speed. That mid-speed corner was okay. This corner is, again, feels like it wants to understeer. I'm not sure what that no data waiting for data is. Here we go. That seems like a good place to brake. Roll it in. Ugh. Yeah, it's you're waiting. What it is, I feel like I'm constantly waiting to pick up the throttle. And that's not good for a race car in my opinion. Yeah, constantly waiting to pick... See, right there, I'm waiting to pick up the throttle. And it's not a long wait. I mean, I exaggerated it on that corner 2 corners ago. But it's still a wait. And that's something that you have to be wary of. Okay, great. Still waiting to pick up the throttle out of that corner a lot more than I should.
Well done, mate. Nice to best.
Alright, so that's a 2:04.6. Let's see if I can get a slightly faster lap time out of that. Maybe, yeah, getting on the brakes a little bit better. That's a lot nicer already. But obviously, I'm still going to run into the same problem of that mid-corner understeer. I have just put myself up about half a second though. But it's really, really difficult just waiting to pick up that car. So right now all I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to work out where I can improve my time. So there you go, I'm improving the time all around. Already 1.3 seconds up. So I'm probably looking at about a 2:02 or a 2:01 on this. Just waiting, there we go. In fact, I've lost some time there. Now this one's going to be interesting again. I can feel the car's okay. It's alright through that. I just don't feel like I can put much more into it though. That's the problem. That was a better corner. Need to carry more speed through that. And then this is now flat out all the way up to the chicane. Just flat. So we're looking at a 2:02 as our first proper lap. I can carry a good amount of speed through that. That's pretty good. That felt good. Let's see if I can keep that inside. Still have to be very slow on the throttle. There's the 2:02.
Well done, mate. Your fastest lap so far.
Okay. And I don't think I'm going to be able to go much faster. I don't think I'm going to be able to go much faster across the different laps. Yes, I will slowly get better, but I think now if we start adjusting setups, I can get even better with a setup change. That was quite good. Yeah, I'm just waiting. It's just constantly waiting. So what I'm going to do is to change that. First things first, I feel like the car is a little bit too stable at the rear. So the first thing I'm going to change is I'm going to give it some... I'm probably going to shove the brake bias rearwards. Also, the car in general feels like it's a bit too stable. I feel like I can't get the most out of it, so I want to adjust the... I think GT3 cars are pretty sensitive to ride height changes, I think. So if I change the rake on this car, i.e. drop the nose a bit, if I drop the nose a little bit, that might help this car as well. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to change the aerodynamics slightly, the aerodynamic profile of it, just by dropping the nose maybe a couple of mil. I don't know what's at right now, so we'll drop it by a couple of mil, See how that changes it, and also adjust the brake bias. That should make the car a little bit more pointy, and that's what I'm looking for. Wow, I made up a lot of time there. I made up a lot of time there. Still in the 202s though.
Well done, mate. This has been your personal best.
Alright, so let's go to the pits and set up and start changing this one over. So let's have a look. Brake bias, 75%. Let's put that to 70. Let's see what that does. So I think that shoves it rearwards a bit. So at the moment it was 75-25, now it's 70-30. Ride height. Let's bring it down 3 mil. Oh, hold on, it's changing the aero variation. There we go. 7%. That's going to be more aggressive. That's a lot more aggressive. Okay. So that should be a bit better. Although if I crank that up to 15, that gives me a more stable rear end. That should do the trick. Okay, so let's have a look at that setup. So if we were to start driving with that, let's do a couple of laps with this and let's see what we get. We need to get track IR working in this, or some form of head tracking. Okay. First impressions on it. Definitely more responsive on turning. Still pushes out mid-corner though. You can see that push out mid-corner. Again, so I'm still waiting for that throttle so I can pick it up. On exit it's fairly okay. So we've got the turning working. So in all honesty, what's going to happen here is I'm probably going to improve my lap time by about half a second. So I definitely need more than that. I feel like I can brake a tad later as well with this brake bias change. And with it, I can feel the car wanting to start changing direction. That feels a lot nicer through the Michael Schumacher S. That's a lot nicer through there. Although I think we can still make it better. Still can go through that corner faster. So I do need to improve on that. Bit of understeer on that corner. It seems to be high-speed corners seem okay. It's just mid and low-speed corners that seem to have that understeer. So let's have a look at what our first lap time comes out to be as we begin our lap. Right. Can I keep it in? I can hold it in a little bit more. Not as much as I want to though. Still not as much as I want to. Alright, let's see what we get. Brake right there. Oh, skittish. You just saw that. That was interesting. Almost lost it. I can come on the power just a little bit more. I can carry a little bit more speed into the corners, it feels. Yes, it does feel like there's a bit more speed that I can carry into the corner. I've gone out of that corner too slow, way too slow. But yes, I can definitely carry more speed into the corners now, which is what I was after. So the car feels like it wants to speed up. So there's half a second right there actually. So last time I was doing that, the car did not want to do what I was telling it to do. So it wouldn't, if I tried to carry more speed in, it would not turn in. So it would understeer on entry and understeer on exit. Sorry, understeer on the apex. It was stable on the exit. And I'm going almost flat through that. Just a bit of a blend. And then on the brakes. There's that little bit of understeer you got, but I did get a good turn in the first place. That feels good. That does feel good. So already you can see how my driving has improved with a better setup. A setup that is more suitable for me. In a sense that I prefer this kind of setup. I was slow in that corner though, so I've lost a whole heap of time. But still, 1 second up. That's a good improvement. That's definitely a good improvement, and I'm sure I could get about 1.5 seconds up if I gave it a go. Right, so now I want to get that mid corner going. Let's have a look. Ooh, interesting. Right, so we want the mid corner. So we'll go back and let's see if we can get something at the apex. So what could be the problem now? So we'll go back to the current setup. And it's still a fairly conservative setup. I will say that. It's still fairly conservative. But I think with the apex, if we look at this, the one I want to change is the anti-roll bars now. So the next thing I want to change is the anti-roll bars. We've done a little bit on the aero. I think I'm okay with that. For now anyway. But with the anti-roll bars, I think we're getting a bit of understeer. So realistically, we need to, I guess, drop the rear. I mean, drop the front. That's going to make it a bit more sluggish. That's going to make it more sluggish. But we should get the grip. So that's what I'm thinking about. I'm just thinking. I'll tell you what we will do. Instead of dropping that one, let's just increase this one. Let's do that and see if that helps us. And on top of that, I think... No, let's change to 1. We'll change that one. We'll do 2 laps. An out lap, 1 hot lap. We'll go back and then we'll change the camber on the car. And I think by changing the camber on the car, we should start getting ourselves towards quite an interesting setup. So let's get a feel for this now. Now this is going to make the back end quite skittish, I think. So under brakes, this is going to be interesting. Braking from high speed is definitely going to be an interesting one. But what I'm looking for is good mid-apex grip, which I'm now getting. Yep, you can see the difference there. But the weight transfer, as you just saw there, you have to be careful on the weight transfer now. Yeah, you have to be really careful on weight transfer, it seems. So we have to be now more progressive off the brakes because of that anti-roll bar. So we're going to be on and off the brakes a little bit more progressively and turning the car in a lot more smoothly. But it definitely feels good. I'm just... Yep. On the brakes. Still not enough grip, but again, changing the camber is going to help that. Oh, but now we've introduced a bit of understeer. Have we introduced that understeer? That's interesting. I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure how I've introduced that understeer into the car. That could have just been the wrong line though, so we'll find out on the hot lap. But yeah, that could have been the wrong line. We'll find out. Here we go. Braking's still okay, at least up the hill. Down the hill is going to be a whole different story. Good apex there. I can pick up the throttle. You may have noticed I could just pick up the throttle just that little bit faster. And you can see that in the delta immediately. As a matter of fact, that felt quite good. And now we should be able to carry a little bit more speed Ooh, we got some... Oh, dear. Ouch. Right. No, we've definitely... That back end is now a lot more... That back end is a lot looser. And that's because of that anti-roll bar adjustment, I think. Yeah, I think that anti-roll bar adjustment has made that back end a bit looser. Okay, well, we're still going to try and complete another lap after this. It might just be getting used to the car that I need to do. So we're going to do that, and then we'll end the video. And then in the next video, what we'll do is we'll start see if we can play around with camber. We'll start playing around with camber, start playing around a little bit with tyre pressures and things like that. That's a lot better. Yeah, it was just a bad line then. But this is a good start. I'm not going to say this is a great setup. It's not. It doesn't feel... Even though I spun it out, it feels a bit tame. It doesn't feel like it's responding quite as quickly as I want. It's a bit sluggish. And I think, in all honesty, I think camber will fix a number of those problems. So it's going to be the tyres that really fix it. But I can definitely hold that a lot better through an apex, as you can see. So let's try and get a proper lap out of this. We're dead on zero at the moment. We can be later on the brakes, turn it in. Admittedly not great, but right, just be easy on this. Whoa, that curbing really caught me out. Still a bit understeery, but we can pick up the throttle. That's the thing. It's a bit understeery, but we can pick up the throttle just that little bit earlier now. Again, and it does still hold on the apex. So that's a good sign. But we're losing a lot of time actually now. So that's interesting. Maybe this works for the apex, but it doesn't work on corner exit, for example. That's interesting. We're clawing back some of it now. I was expecting about 0.3 of a second in this. Dipped in the dirt there, or the gravel, shall I say. But yeah, it's not quite as interesting. It's not quite as quick. It's not quite as quick. That's a very, very interesting turn of events. I would have thought getting that apex, getting that understeer dialed out in the apex would have helped. But clearly it's causing some problems elsewhere in the car. It doesn't feel, maybe it's not quite as fast out of a corner now. Interesting. Okay, well, you know what? One more lap. Because this is where I'm going to end it. Let's hope this is a good lap. Turn it in. Try and pick up the throttle a little bit early. There we go. We've got the turn in here. See, that feels good. That does feel good to me. Now, maybe that's just me, but that did feel like a good entry. And then we can pick it up. There we go. Now we can pick up the throttle. Right, it was just adapting the driving style, I guess. There we go. Just adapt the driving style to match the car. You saw that car wash out though through that corner. That was just because I was going too fast. And again, we're losing time. It seems down this area I'm not as fast as I was before, which is interesting. Given I felt that at the apex I am faster. I am fast at the apex, it's just on entry I'm not as fast anymore. That's very interesting. Flat through that. But I did say I was looking for about 3/10. And so far I've got what? 3/10? About 3/10. Half a second. I had to wait there though. Okay, so we're about half a second on this. That was a bit slow. Brakes, turn it in, and pick up the throttle nice and early. See, that is not washing out as much anymore, and that's where it's really, really quite good. There we go. So we're in the 2 minutes now. We're at the 2 minutes. In the next video, hopefully we can drop that down into the 1 minute 59s and 1 minute 58s. I think we can possibly do that, and I think that's going to be a lot of doing camber, caster. What else are we going to have to change on it? Maybe a bit on the toe and a few things like that. But if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to see a little bit more. If you're watching this on Twitch, which you may be, don't forget to follow me on Twitch. And if you are watching this on YouTube, also go follow me on Twitch. That would be great. Don't forget to leave comments in the comments box below, letting me know what you think of the videos, what you think of Assetto Corsa Competizione as it's in early access, and whether you've got any suggestions for a slightly better setup for me. Personally, I think my next thing, as I said, is going to be camber. I think I need this car to be a lot more responsive than it is, and then from there, I guess I can move on to doing a few more suspension settings. Maybe drop the nose a little bit more to get that front end a little bit more aggressive, but we'll have to see what happens on that. You can also support me on Patreon at www.patreon.com/ecgadget. Your support would be massively appreciated. It would really help me out. All that support and the money that goes in there will help me improve my quality, or my video quality in general. And you can find me on social media at ecgadgetlp for both Twitter and Instagram. That's all from me. Of course, this is a much slower lap as I'm doing an outro, and I'll see you guys next time in Assetto Corsa Competizione.